So, welcome to our meditation time together. I am honored that you are spending these few minutes with me, but I am also incredibly honored that you are spending them with yourself. And so collectively, let's settle in, and then once you kind of get comfortable individually, just really acclimate yourself to your space where you are, to the point that the sounds around you are just this comforting, familiar sound, not a distraction. And then the things around you that you can feel and touch are also just this comforting, familiar scene around you, and not a distraction. And then as you close your eyes, think about the same thing happening in your mind, that you know the thoughts are there, but let just the activity in your mind, just for these next just few breaths, feel familiar and comfortable, instead of thinking of it as just a distraction. And so let's settle in, finding our way into this present moment, and again, really acclimating ourselves to the space where we are. It's so easy just to assign the label of good and bad and distracting and not distracting to the things around us. But what if we just learn to just exist within? I believe that takes some of the power away from the distractions, that the sound of the air conditioning outside of your window where you're meditating becomes just part of the scene where you are, instead of being something to take you away from the present moment. So I would invite you just to start to notice your breath. Notice how you feel physically. Check in and notice, what are you carrying emotionally here in this moment? Just be aware of it all. Our meditation practice does not ask us to turn off our minds and turn off our feelings and our emotions. It asks us to be acutely aware. And within that awareness, find stillness. And so just start to notice the inhale and the exhale, and how you start to change the way you feel after each intentional breath. We've been on this journey, stopping and pausing at each energy center within different parts of our body. And so today, our time will focus on the area right around your throat. And so as you're settling in, I would invite you just to kind of just imagine that sensation right there around your throat, how it feels. Maybe you find yourself swallowing in the moment that I mention it, but just kind of pay attention. In Sanskrit, we call that Vishuddha, the throat energy. In English, we translate it to be our voice, but not our voice that is associated with the accent of how we talk or the words that we use. It's the voice that represents the essence of who we are, our personal truth, the things that come from our heart center, from that area just below the heart of our strength, our confidence. It comes from just a little bit below that. It comes from our passion, our creativity. And all of these energy centers that we've stopped and we've paused and we've looked at over these last several times together, they inform what goes on right there at the area of your throat. Sometimes it is the physical voice that you can hear. Sometimes it is the voice that only you can hear. And so I want to just pause for just a second and let each of us in the quiet for the next few breaths just see, what do you hear coming from yourself here in this moment? And as you notice that, just be very careful not to label it. Too often, just like with those things I began with, we think of it as a distraction. We label it as something bad. So even there in those few breaths, chances are there were some of us that thoughts started to bubble up, and we immediately wanted to label them, assign something to them. But what if, as we learn to live in this present moment, we stop assigning labels to everything and we just maintain balance right here in the center of our truth? And I know that sounds much easier said than it is done. But I'd like these few minutes that we have today to be just this exploration back to the balance of our truth. Depending on the path that you've been on and the experiences that you've had, chances are things in the world have tried to influence your version of your truth. Maybe they've convinced you of something completely different. Maybe the things that you've been through have made you doubt your own personal truth. But I think we could all, that if we paused long enough, we could all remember a time when we felt deeply connected to who we are as individuals. And we didn't let the world's loud voice influence that. We knew us. And so today, in these few minutes, let's start that journey back to the real essence of who we are. When you have balanced energy right here in the center at your throat, it begins to inform and inspire your voice, rather than feeling like it's constricted or that it's overwhelmed. So today, let's seek balance. And we're going to do this with a really simple exercise to really get us back to the essence of who we are. So I'm going to invite you just to repeat in your head, or maybe you do it audibly where you are, just a couple of phrases, a couple of I am statements. And I think as we get through these, you'll begin to see how possible it is to get back to the core of who we are. And so I would invite you first to take the sentence of I am, and after those two words, insert your first and your last name. So I will say, I am Kelly Samus. And then let's take off the last name. And now just insert your first name after you say I am. I am Kelly. And then maybe you're already predicting where we're going with this. Now let's take off the name and just say those two words. I am. I am. And whether you're saying it out loud or you're saying it in your head, say it with resolution, so that when you say the word am, there's a period at the end of that sentence, and that is enough. You don't feel a need to fill it in with adjectives and nouns and all these things that describe you. Just be okay with I am. The word for I am in Sanskrit is AHAM. AHAM, AHAM. AHAM. And I love the idea that in Sanskrit, it's just one word. It doesn't need to be divided up. It's one word. It is just you. And it is enough. So let's just sit for these next few breaths and just let the essence of I am fill the space where you are. Fill up your mind, your heart. But most importantly for this moment that we have, let it fill your voice. I am. I am. AHAM. AHAM. I am. And then I would invite you to become aware of the things that you feel almost drawn to fill in that sentence with. Chances are for many of it's not the most positive things we want to fill it in with. We identify ourselves by our mistakes, by our tragedies, by our shortcomings, by how we look, by how successful or not that we are, by how other people have seen us and labeled us. But y'all, at the end of the day, if all of that could be stripped away, you'd realize that those are not your identity. The identity of each of us is just the simplicity of I am. And when you can find your way back to the essence of the power of that phrase, you will begin to feel the connection back to your voice. No longer defined by your experiences, your mistakes, your inadequacies, your weaknesses, your whatever. But rather, the only defining that needs to happen comes from within. I am. And so in just a moment, we're going to sit quietly, each of us just in our space, but I want to just really validate the fact that I get how hard this is. Of all of the 7 energy centers that we've explored, some already and some still to come, this is probably the most difficult for most of us, because we've let ourselves get so far away from the essence of us to either meet the expectations of someone else or to become kind of this self-fulfilling prophecy of our doubts about ourselves or the guilt that we feel. Or we've let the world define it for so long that we've almost forgotten the true essence of who we are. Oftentimes, maybe for you or friends that you have, someone's gone through a traumatic illness, a traumatic experience, and it's almost like they fill in the blank of I am blank. But even something as big as cancer, you don't say I am cancer. No, that is just a situation that is happening in your life at that moment. Or if you've gone through a marriage that ended and now you have a divorce, your I am is not I am divorced. No, I am. The divorce was just something that happened as a circumstance in your life at that moment. So I would invite you, as I get quiet, you in your space, me in mine, but us collectively together, begin to let all those words just go. The same way we dropped the last name, we dropped the first name, and we got down to the core of who we are. Let all the rest of that go as well. It doesn't mean in these few minutes that we will rise up from this spot and it will all be fixed and good. But it does mean that those things will lessen their control in our life if we stop giving them the control in our life. I am. I am. I am. And now each of us in our own space, let's just sit. Just you. Nobody else. No other impressions. No other opinions. Just you. And as we prepare to close our time together today, usually I would have you, when you take a deep breath, to really fill up your belly and your ribs and your chest. But I'm going to ask you to breathe with me a couple more times and try to make the inhale as full as you can until you almost feel it in your throat. Fill yourself up with the essence of you, so that as you exhale, it's like you're pouring out all the stuff that does not belong. Maybe in your head saying to yourself, I am, or maybe just feel the expansion of the breath, inspiring, informing your truth. Just take a long, slow, deep breath in. Exhale, let it go. One more long, slow, deep breath in. Exhale, let it go. And my wish for you as we close our time is that you'll take the essence of the word namaste. And when I say that to you and I tell you that I honor and I see the light in you, I want you to begin to see it in yourself as well. See it as two simple words. I am. And then know that's enough. Namaste.